Hi there, students. I'm XS. That's little x, little s, which stands for extra sweet, because that's what I am. I'm a translator, a teacher, and I've been speaking and learning Japanese for a long time. I'm really excited to get to share a little bit of my knowledge with you through this series of videos. These videos are going to start out from a very rudimentary foundation, so they're best for people who are just starting out or who don't have a lot of experience with Japanese yet. But they're also meant to build on one another, so as I put out more and more videos, you'll learn more and build a bigger foundation, and we'll keep on growing just like that. Since this is the first lesson, I'll say just a little bit about myself to start. I'm a gamer, I love roguelikes, and I'm a huge RPG nerd. I play a lot of Pathfinder, and I really enjoy it. I also really like games where I can build creatively in relatively low-stress situations. Like Minecraft, but not like Minecraft on survival mode. Okay, enough about me though. You're here to learn Japanese, so let's get into it. Ikimashou. That means let's go in Japanese. And so that's what we're gonna do. Again, these first videos will be very introductory, so we're gonna start out by learning Hiragana. Hiragana is one of the Japanese writing systems. Yep, just one of the writing systems. It'll take you about 4 videos and a few hours of study before you can easily read Hiragana. But I'm excited to get started, so hopefully you learn something. Welcome to my classroom. This is our first Hiragana character. This is A. It's pronounced like the A in father. It's never pronounced A, but don't worry, we can make that sound in Japanese. We just don't use A to make it. I think this character is a little easy for me to remember because it looks like a lowercase a little bit. Japanese vowels are always uniform. That means that they always make the same sound pretty much regardless of what situation they're in. In English, our vowels can change depending on where they are in a word or how they're being used, but that just won't happen in Japanese. A is A. It's always going to be that way. But we can't do a whole lot just with A, so let's learn another character. This is E. It's always going to be pronounced like the sound in eat. I guess it kind of looks like the letter I if the dot fell off, but it's never pronounced I, it's always E. Now, since we have A and we have E, we can actually make a word. A and E together become the word ai. Japanese likes something called hiatus. Hiatus is a linguistic concept that allows 2 vowels to take up the same length of time when you speak them. So A and E should both be pronounced for the same amount of time in the word ai. Ai means love, by the way, and that's exactly where I wanted to start. Lead with love. That's kind of my motto. By the way, there's a handy trick that you can do with Japanese. For Japanese, in most cases, a hiragana should take up the same amount of time that you speak it as you say each one in a word. So sometimes you can sort of clap as you say the hiragana to make certain that you're saying it for the appropriate amount of time in a word. Like I, you could do a, I, right? Okay, so next is u. It sort of sounds like the sound in fruit, or like something is disgusting. Ooh. It looks to me like a little bit like a sideways U. If we have E and U together, then we get iu, which means to say. Something interesting about Japanese is that all verbs in their base form, which is sometimes called the dictionary form, are going to end in an U sound. Just like iu. The basic vowel before you conjugate any verb will always end in that U sound. So if you see a word and it ends in U, then you can sometimes make an educated guess that it might be a verb, even if you've never seen it before. More about conjugation later. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is It kind of sounds like meh, and that's about what I think of this character too. It's just kind of meh. If we have E and together, then we get the word ie, which means house. But sometimes Japanese can be really tricky with its vowels, and we've already talked about how we have this concept in Japanese called hiatus. So even though ie means house, ie means no. Actually, ie means no is a funny sentence. No means no. Again, we're going to remember that we want this sound to be 3 beats long, right? It's ie. So it should be e, e, e. And we want to make sure that we're saying every bit of that word, right? It's 3 characters, e, e, e. No is ie. House is ie. It'll probably take some time, and I know it sounds really confusing at first, but I promise it gets easier. Plus, you have context clues that will help you out, right? You know that, do you have any sisters? And then the answer being house doesn't make any sense. But when you hear ie in context, you're going to know when it's no and when it should be house. You'll get there, I promise. Now, we have o. It's always pronounced o, just like the vowel in go or show or joke. Okay, here we have hiatus again. This is actually one of my favorite words to teach new speakers of Japanese because it really explains how vowels in Japanese work. This is aoi. A-O-E. Aoi. We don't really have too many words in English that are made up only of vowels. In Japanese, aoi means blue. However, Japanese adjectives are a little weird, so aoi is a blue thing. Aoi boshi. That means a blue hat. It's not really the word blue all by itself, so if someone says, "What's your favorite color?" in Japanese, "Ichiban suki na iro wa nan desu ka?" you can't say aoi. We'll talk more about that later, but yeah, aoi. Kind of like I have an aoi. But in this case, make sure you're pronouncing every letter. A-O-E. So those are all the Japanese vowels. That's it. Just 5. These are the only vowel sounds that Japanese has. Sort of. We call this a gyo, which means a line, right? This is the a gyo. A-I-U-E-O. And they'll always be pronounced that way. No matter where they are in a word or in a sentence, they're always going to be pronounced a-i-u-e-o. Easy. Now, let's move on to the ka-gyo, or the ka line. And of course, we're going to start with ka. This is ka. Just like the a-gyo, there will be 5 hiragana characters in the ka-gyo. Using ka, we can now make another color, akai. Akai means red. But just like blue with what we talked about before, this is a red something. Red car, akai kuruma. Red hand, akai te. Red shirt, akai shatsu. Now I want to watch Star Trek. Anyway, we'll talk more about adjectives later, but for now, this is akai. And this is ki. We can use ki to make a longer word, oki. Oki means big or large, like a big dog. Oki inu. Remember that you're pronouncing every vowel, but it's just a little different when it's the same vowel. You should say oki, but not o-oki, right? There's no little break in the middle between the two o's. If you have the same vowel, it's going to flow into itself without taking a break. But you do still have to hold that o for a little longer, so it's oki, right? 3 units of time. Just make sure that you're holding that o for a little longer than you would if you were only having one o, right? Oki and oki are 2 different words in Japanese. This is ku. Ku looks a lot like a less than sign. It's just 2 lines, or maybe it's a mouth opening to eat something. We can use ku to make another verb. Remember what I said about all verbs basically ending in an u sound in their base form? Well, anytime we learn a new hiragana that ends in u, we can usually use that to make a verb. This is iku. Iku is a verb that means to go. Japanese really likes to distinguish if you're moving towards something or if you're moving away from something. So in the case of iku, you're moving away from somewhere. This is to go, not to come, right? Here is ke. Ke by itself means fur. So a kemono is a furry. If you're into that. Not saying that I am or anything. Let's move on. We can use ke to make another word with i. Ike. Ike means pond. And finally in the kagyo we have ko. We can use ko together with to make koe. And koe means voice. And that's the kagyo. Ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Ka, ki, ku, ke, and ko. Hopefully you're seeing the pattern here. A, I, U, E, O, and then ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Pretty much all of hiragana is going to follow the same pattern. By the way, Japanese is a Moraic language. That means that every syllable in Japanese is usually going to have a consonant followed by a vowel, or sometimes just a vowel by itself. In English, we can make words like strength. That's an 8-letter word with only one vowel, and it's only one syllable long. Japanese cannot do that. You really don't have cases in Japanese where two consonants will ever be by themselves. So it's always consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. There are some exceptions, but we'll get to that later. One other neat kind of small thing. Italian is actually the same way. That's why you always hear people making fun of the Italian accent by saying things like this. Japanese is the same way. All right, so far in this video, we have learned the vowel sounds and the K sounds. There's one more set that we're going to do together, and it's the S-gyo, right? The S sounds. The first one is sa. Remember earlier when we learned ki? Sa looks like ki, but with just one line across instead of two. No, I'm not going to put ki back up here so you can compare them. Watch the video again if you already forgot. Using sa, we can make the word asa. Asa means morning, which is easily the best part of the day or the worst part of the day, depending on whether or not you're a morning person. Okay, I need to level with you. Japanese can be really sneaky. Up until now, I've told you that Japanese follows its own rules really well. We learned a, I, U, E, O, and I told you that those sounds always stay the same. We learned ka, ki, ku, ke, ko, and those sounds follow all the same rules as a, I, U, E, O, right? So now we're learning the S sounds. And the first character that we learned was sa. So you would think that the next character that you would learn would be si, right? It makes sense. A, ka, sa, I, ki, si. But no, Japanese doesn't have the si sound. Instead, we get she. This is she. Interesting fact about she. She is also the way you pronounce the number 4, but it's also the way you pronounce the word for death. That's why a lot of buildings in Japan don't have a 4th floor. Believe it or not, fear of 4, tetraphobia, is one of the most common fears in the whole world because both Japanese and Chinese have 4, which is also death, and they sound exactly the same. Spooky. Anyway, this is she. And using she with everything that we've learned up till now, we can make the word oishii. Note that this should take up 4 units of space. O-I-shi-i, right? Oishii. Oishii means delicious. It's another adjective, and you're probably picking up the fact that a lot of adjectives we're learning end in E. Don't get too comfortable with that. Anyway, next is su. I don't know how it's easiest to remember this. Someone once told me that su kind of looks like a slide. I don't know how that's supposed to help you remember that it's su, but it doesn't really look much like a slide to me. Anyway, we can use su to make sushi. And now we can talk about oishii sushi, which is something that I know everyone loves. Delicious sushi. Unfortunately, I don't love sushi because I can't eat fish. I do like inari sushi though, which is a kind of tofu sushi. Anyway, I'm a dog who can't eat fish. I guess actually that sort of makes sense. It would be weirder if I was a cat that can't eat fish. XS, famously not a cat. This is se. Nothing really to say about it. It's just se. And we can use se to make the word sekai. Sekai is actually one of my favorite concepts in Japanese. Sekai means world, but it's not just the world. It means the world, but it also means like worlds. So in English, when we talk about things like the MC universe or the Star Wars universe or I don't know, the universe of people who like sports or something. Each one of those in Japanese would be a sekai. And my favorite thing is when some sekai merges with some other sekai, a crossover. I love crossover fiction. Okay, we made it, and this is the last hiragana for today. It's so. We can use so to make the word uso, which is lie. I mean, uso means lie. Not I didn't mean that I was lying to you. I just mean uso equals lie. Uso is also part of the word liar. Usotsuki. That doesn't matter. This is just uso. Anyway, so now we've learned all the hiragana. No, wait. Actually, that part is a lie. We're really not even halfway through all of the hiragana yet. But we did make a lot of progress. We learned a, I, u, e, o, ka, ki, ku, ke, ko, and sa, shi, su, se, so. Remember, it's she, not si. All right, so now that we've learned all of this, how about we take a little quiz? So for this quiz, I'm going to give you words in Japanese, and I want you to try to read them based on what we've learned so far. It shouldn't be too difficult. Please feel free to let me know how you did in the comments. Hopefully you get a good score and get a whole bunch of points on the quiz. If you get them right, I'll be really proud of you. And if you don't get them right, I'm still going to be really proud of you. I'm going to give you the meaning for these words, but don't feel like you need to memorize it or anything. Really, what we're focusing on here is just being able to recognize and read the hiragana. Here's the first one. Based on what we've learned so far, how would you pronounce this word? The meaning of this word is like it seems, or it's like that. Or, if you like, you might say that it means it is so, which is great because this word is pronounced so. Did you remember hiatus? So, right? 2 units of time. Here's the next one. How would you say this? It shouldn't be too hard. This word means cow. Did you remember that it's she and not si? This is ushi. All right, well, what about this one? It means salt. How do you pronounce it? Shio. Shio is salt. More shio, please. Or less. I don't know your health condition. Maybe you already have too much salt. I don't know. Here's the next one. It's a little longer. Don't forget about hiatus. This is a little tricky, so I'll tell you. It's the name of a city. It's the name of Osaka. This is just a secret between you and me, chat, but I actually don't really like the city Osaka very much. There are just a lot of cities in Japan that I like a lot more than Osaka, and I didn't have a lovely time there. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Okay, here's the next one. How would you pronounce this? It means umbrella, and if you know anything about yokai, you might know about a hopping one-legged umbrella monster that is really famous as a Japanese legendary creature. Anyway, it's pronounced kasa. I hope you got it. Just 2 left. What's this one? Hey, it's those 2 characters that I said look similar, isn't it? This word means before, and it's pronounced saki. The alcohol in Japan is sake, by the way, not saki. I know people pronounce it saki in English, but alcohol is sake. Anyway, okay, last one. How would you say this? It means mechanism or machine. How's it pronounced? Did you say kikai? I hope so. Well done, everybody. All right, well, I hope you learned something today. We did a lot, but we still have a long way to go. More than anything, I'm hoping that you aren't feeling too overwhelmed by what we've learned so far. I want the pace of these lessons to be slow and deliberate, so that we're learning a lot, but not feeling too stressed. I'll be putting out additional videos to teach you the rest of hiragana pretty soon. Hopefully you look forward to those. And please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know what's working and what's not working, or just to hear from you. Make sure that you like and subscribe so that you know when I put out my next videos. I also have a Patreon for people who might be interested in getting some one-on-one lessons from me. Lastly, I really want to thank all my supporters for helping me put these videos together. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time, and remember, lead with love. I've been XS. See you later. Mata ne.